What's up, team, and welcome back to Lead From Within. I'm your host, Justin Jasm Hillstrom, and today we're going to talk about this handy note-taking trick that I learned that's really helped me out in a lot of ways. I've been bullet journaling for about 7 years. I think I picked it up in 2014 after experimenting with a couple other note-taking styles. Obviously, as a maintenance officer, we have to take a lot of notes. We go to a lot of meetings, so doing it this way has really helped out, and it's something that I've taught all of my lieutenants, a lot of my senior NCOs, and I've actually had a couple group commanders, squadron commanders, that kind of thing, even a group wing chiefs asking me about this note-taking style because it works so well for me, and they want to be able to do the same things. It is super, super effective. Let me know if you're interested in more of these, not leadership, not direct leadership, not directly Air Force specific, but kind of leadership adjacent kind of tips and tricks, and I'll try to continue making more videos like this. And otherwise, let's get straight into it. Diving right in, I'm just showing you some of my versions of the bullet journals that I've used. You can see here, this is a personal one, and I don't really use that as much anymore. Most of it goes in my phone now. This is an old work one. We'll be referring to that. And that one was a personnel one, so anytime someone came to me with issues, I would do it. This is my current personal one, and like I said, I don't really use it very often except for personal projects, but I really like it. It was a Christmas gift from my wife when we were still dating, so I still like carrying it around. This is my current bullet journal, and you can see it's been used, but I'm pretending like it's a new one for this video because I'm going from a job that doesn't really need it to one that I might start using it again. So to set up the bullet journal, I first start by just labeling the number of grids there in the square. And you can see it goes 24 across the top and 40 down the side, and I'm able to refer back to this later for anytime I want to divide my pages into a certain number of columns. And some people actually go and show a template for how many times or how many spaces are in each thing, but I just leave it like this and I can do math when I need it. Then I can decide if I just want a line or if I want a space. Next, I go and I put in the calendar for the year. Now, a lot of bullet journals actually have that. Oh, sorry for the camera. Actually have this already in there, but this one doesn't, so I just write it in, and I mark the first and the last date of every month, and then I fill in all the Sundays and go from there. This helps me make fewer mistakes, so you can see on the second week there in January, I've already messed up and had to write over it, so it still happens, but I go through and fill in the rest of the months. Again, there are a couple of different ways you can do this, but this is what works for me, and it's a one-time setup, so it takes some time, but it's not too big of a deal. And this is just an aesthetic thing. I like the lines. It's dividing the months. I actually do this vertically as well, though I don't show it in this video. And then go back and put the names of the months in, because that definitely helps so I know where I'm talking about it. And then over on the other side is where I put important dates. And I don't do a lot of things. A lot of people like doing a full future log for every future meeting, but for me, I just like color coding, and I'll do, okay, number of TDYs, personal days, leave, that kind of thing. And like I said, I color code it over there. And then again, just an aesthetic thing. I like the way these lines look to fill in the gaps and kind of makes them more symmetrical. If I'm trying to fill in more months, I won't let January go over to 5 lines. I'll just keep them on 4 and have a wrap over, so then there's not as many lines there. The next page, you just start off with an index, and this is just typical bullet journaling. If you haven't seen how they do it, go over to bulletjournal.com or on YouTube to find out. You can see a lot of them get a little bit more elaborate, but I like just plain and simple. A lot of bullet journals actually come pre-made with an index as well, but since mine doesn't, I go ahead and make one and just add 3 columns to the page number side. And from there, I can just fill it in. So the first 2 pages are obviously the index, and I've labeled those page numbers down at the bottom. Again, some bullet journals have that as well. Then for me, the first few pages in any of my bullet journals are set aside for projects that I have ongoing as a maintenance officer. This is typically like a TDY or major revisions that I want to see in the squadron, the unit, the group. So I label here project 1, but typically this would be like a TDY that's coming up. And I'll put a lot of the tasks that either I or my project officer need to do. Again, labeling the page numbers. And then you can see the column over on the right. We'll get more into that later when we get to the daily task for what that means. Then I make sure to go back and index that, because I definitely forget to do that a bit. But I always remember whenever I do my carry forward. And again, if things like carry forward don't make sense to you right now, go over to the bulletjournal.com to see just the fundamentals. because I don't go into that here, but I can definitely in the future if you want to see that. And if you do, just leave me a comment down below. So this would be the second project. And again, since this is a new bullet journal and I don't really have much going on, go back to my old journal and see what's going on. I'm highlighting there. The yellow highlights just makes it easier to find the pages from the outside. Obviously it's in the index, but it's even quicker if you can just see the highlight, and highlighting the edges like that are actually really easy to find from the outside of the book. After I've set aside those pages for projects, I go to the first month, which is January 22 in this book. Each book really gives me about 3 to 6 months based off this current style. And obviously it depends on your job, but since I basically have 4 meetings I go to a day and a ton of tasks, I do go through them pretty quickly. So for the month, I do the carry forward from previous months broken down into essentially mini projects. So it's either, from the project pages up front, things that are going to be due that month, or things that I've been working on from previous months that don't quite warrant their own set pages, but things I like having, organized for easy reference. So whether that's a mentorship plan that I have for my LT, things that I'm trying to improve in a specific section of the unit, those go into sections there. The next page goes down into the weeklies, and this is just a printout and a cut and paste from Outlook. You can see my Outlook calendar I keep color coordinated. Again, not going into that here, but let me know if that is something you'd be interested in. Each one of those represents a different thing. So an exercise, a squadron meeting, a group meeting, or a wing meeting, and then just normal day-to-day tasks. The daily tasks as well, they're just printed out. Those show everything that's due that week. And I keep certain things due over on email. Specifically, if I have to respond to an email, I leave those in those tasks versus transferring them over to my notebook. But that's kind of just a personal thing there. And I like having the calendar printed out. You obviously have my digital calendar on Outlook, and with a work phone, I can see that. But I do go to a lot of meetings where I'm not able to keep my phone on me. So it's nice to see oh shoot, okay, I need to leave, this place so I can go to my next meeting. So that's a good way to keep track of time there without, of missing meetings and not being able to have your phone on you. And I'm showing here, basically every day we go through, and the left side is for all my meetings. I like here on Wednesday, it says no meeting, but I still had 2 meetings that day. And on the right side are just new tasks that I add for the day. I think I can see a few weeks here of the same thing. And then eventually, that's where the COVID op started, so a different kind of format there because we didn't have as many meetings. And then showing you the next month, just showing carry forwards from all those daily tasks and meeting notes. Anything that I need for that month are carried forward. Now just showing you what the key looks like, how I take notes. And this is a little bit different than the bullet journal, and we'll show that in a little bit. So I have a box for a to-do list, a dash is a note. I put a star next to either the task or the note for something that's important, something that I really need to do. It's a high priority today, need to do it early. I put a P next to items that are personal. And again, I use most of my personal tasks over in my phone, but since I can't always have that on me, I'll put that P there so I remember to transfer it later. I put a box there for, I said important, for things that are significant events. Someone gets hurt, we have a damaged piece of equipment, a major quality assurance finding. That's actually what I would put in the box. So I would say QA, and then I can go back and look at it. Then bullet are things to remember. So I like showing successes, things that we've done with my unit. So anytime we do a major mission, we meet a major milestone, I'll box that up. And then every month, quarter, year, I wrap those up into email that I send out. That lets us stay standardized and everyone's on the same page. Plus they know what's going on. Now I'm finally showing you what's going on with the columns over on the right. You can see at the top, Justin would mean Justin is responsible for doing that task. The right side of the column, I put 15 January, means that task will be due on the 15th of January. The arrow pointing to Josh means I need to send something to him. And then the arrow pointing away means that they need to send something. And I don't typically do that last one just because that's kind of what the thing already means. Then here on the task is showing, to do, completed, and I'll mark out the name and the date, and then carry forward to the last one. Those either go to the next month, or I'll carry them forward over into one of the projects if they apply over there. So here we're finally breaking down the differences between the bulletjournal.com and why I did it. And I started out writing these down. Task, note, event is what they use. actually did it wrong, so I had to go back and reference it, so I'll mark it out here. For them, a task is just a dot, a note is a dash, and an event is a circle. For me, my handwriting is bad, especially when I'm rapid note-taking, or they call it rapid logging, so it's hard for me to tell the difference between them, so that's why I had to go to the square and the dash. And then the events are just based off either putting them in the calendar, or I can put them in the due date, and that's why I have that. All right, team, so that's all we have for today. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe, share with your friends if this is helpful. As I mentioned before, this note-taking technique has been extremely useful for me as a project manager, as a leader, as a mentor. I take notes in all my meetings. I really developed the habit of taking notes basically on everything, even to the point where when people saw me taking notes in a meeting, they follow up later and be like, all right, what did I say? Give me that feedback. So it's definitely something people pick up on whenever they see, hey, look at everything he's written down. And whether that's direct feedback for them, or if I'm listening to, squadron commander, wing commander, whatever, take notes on their presentation, I can go back and talk to, my LT, whoever else, and say, hey, what did you think about this point? What was his intent and how was it delivered? How do you think it was received? And kind of help develop our own leadership style in that way. So, as always, I'll leave you with my 6 idioms of leadership and life. Don't suck, don't be a dick, do your fucking job. There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. Establish dominance, no matter success. Compensates for failure at home. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Lead From Within. The views expressed are those of the host and do not reflect the official policy or position of the U.S. Air Force, Department of Defense, or the U.S. government. Mention of any specific commercial products, process, or service by trade name, trademark, manufacturer, or otherwise does not necessarily constitute or imply its endorsement, recommendation, or favoring by the United States government. The views and opinions of the authors expressed herein do not state or reflect those of the United States government and shall not be used for advertising or product endorsement purposes. Licensing and attribution of the music played in the podcast can be found in the show's description. Like for Kobe!